Hello, what is going on, my fellow humans, and welcome back to another episode of the Sapien Score. Today, we are taking a look at Jordan Peele's 2022 horror/sci-fi movie, Nope. As always, I've left my final score in the thumbnail of the video and the description, so if you want the complete spoiler-free experience, you can just take a look at that and head out. And if you are in that bucket, now is your last chance to get on out of here because we're diving right in. To summarize Nope in short, essentially it's Steven Spielberg's movie Jaws, but worse. And I think this because, well, here, let me just dive into a little plot summary and you can see what a blatant ripoff it is. First off, the movie opens with a character getting absolutely murked in the first couple minutes by an unseen creature. Next, the main protagonist of the story, suspicious of the death, begins investigating and uncovering the truth which the rest of the people in the town seem blissfully unaware of. Next, after confirming their suspicions of this mysterious creature, the protagonists enlist the help of a specialist to help them prove the existence of the creature. During this whole ordeal, our protagonists have to deal with a prominent local man in the town who has an idea of what's going on, but instead chooses to pretend like everything's all right and that they have control over the situation. Driven by hubris and greed, the local prominent businessman makes a massive mistake, which leads to people dying. Then, after this, our characters attempt to capture the monster, but the initial attempt ends in failure as the equipment used isn't up to the task. Our characters, then realizing that they need to step up their game, decide to enlist a wacky, quirky, eccentric old man who acts completely selfishly in his own interest in order to achieve their own personal goal, and acting in complete stupidity out of the preservation of their fragile egos, do something absolutely ridiculous and get absolutely destroyed by the monster. Then, in a final plan to lure the monster into a trap, one of our protagonists is used as bait and as a distraction, and in their attempt to distract the monster, appears to be killed, giving the last remaining character the final chance at accomplishing the goal. Finally, with their back against the wall, or I guess the post of a sinking ship, in the case of Jaws, our protagonist, in a last-ditch attempt, defeats the monster by getting it to ingest something and uses their last shot to defeat the monster. Finally, our character, who is presumed to be killed by the monster in their distraction attempt, is revealed to be safe and sound in the very end. And our protagonists ride off into the sunset. As you can see, boiled down to the bare bones, Nope is pretty much a carbon copy of Jaws. However, I do think that a lot of this was intentional, and I think that Jordan Peele set out making this movie as a homage to a lot of Steven Spielberg's past works, and I think that many of these scenes were intentionally designed to mimic Jaws and mimic other works as well. Obviously, the Akira slide that's in there, and then the design of the final form of the alien being kind of Evangelion-like. I think there's a lot of outside influence that he purposefully inserted into this movie. However, ultimately, I just don't think that Jordan Peele did enough to separate it from Jaws. And it really just reads as a modern clone without taking too much risk. And I think, especially in comparison to his past two movies, which kind of led all the way through, building up until the end where there's this big reveal, this one felt a bit lackluster, and there really wasn't that sort of payoff that I've come to expect with his past two movies. Which I guess it's good that he's, branching out and doing something a little different. However, I think that with how this movie was marketed, with the trailers, as well as the first two acts, which kind of lead you to believe that there's going to be a similar final reveal or theme that ties the whole movie back to the beginning, as is done in Get Out and Us, I was a bit disappointed, especially because I really liked the Gordy the Ape scenes. And although I understood the metaphor between the ape and the alien jean jacket and how you can't tame a wild animal, throughout the movie, I felt that it was building up to some bigger reveal or some bigger twist than just showing the final form of the alien, which was cool, don't get me wrong, but it was just an oversized bedsheet at the end of the day. My final gripe with this film is the one scene where the alien goes and eats all the people, and it switches over to showing them getting digested or whatever. This one scene took me completely out of the movie as it looked ridiculous. It reminded me of the parachute game from my first grade gym class. This particular scene just looked so out of place and amateur compared to the rest of the movie. This is one of those few scenes in a movie where it was so bad that it just disrupted the entire movie watching experience. And I thought to myself, how could this possibly have gotten past the final editing process? I mean, the editors here, they really just failed to do their job and remove this jank scene from the movie. I think the main reason I'm so upset with this particular scene is it just stands in such stark contrast to the quality of the rest of the film, which has some amazing cinematography, and there's just a lot of really awesome shots and backgrounds and sets throughout the movie. But this one, man, it was terrible. My other praise goes towards the acting performances, especially by a lot of the side characters. I think they really shined, especially the Kmart brand Dave Franco lookalike, who is the Geek Squad guy who helped set up the cameras, as well as Steven Yeun, who played as the owner of the theme park. I had wished that he had a bit more screen time, though. I thought he was a real standout. One more note of praise is the CGI and effects. Whoever the team is behind this, hats off to you guys, because you guys are doing a way better job than anything that Disney and Marvel is pumping out, and I assume on much less of a budget. All right, with all that being said, overall, Nope is a decent watch, but it really fails to live up to the hype of the trailers and the hype kind of surrounding Jordan Peele, as I think that both Get Out and Us were substantially better than this movie. So, with all that being said, I'm going to give Nope a Sapien score of 7. Straight up 7. It was a pretty good movie, but like I mentioned at the beginning, it really is just a copy of Jaws and doesn't really do anything different or special enough to separate it out as its own standalone great movie. Anyways, that's pretty much it. Thanks for tuning on in, and we'll catch you next time. Adios, amigos.